Hi, this video is with my sage Kayli, and I'm playing Telekinetics. We only have 5 people at the beginning of this Warzone, so the start goes roughly like you'd expect it to. We kind of die over and over again, and it's not pretty. But overall, the game, or the Warzone, turns out to be a pretty good one, which is why I'm uploading it. One thing I do wrong kind of throughout this whole Warzone is I forget about my phase walk. It's something I kind of briefly mentioned in the last videos that I keep forgetting that phase walk is a sage ability now and not an assassin ability. But it wouldn't really have helped me here. It was like 1v3 or 4 at this point or something. We're now down to 4 people on our team. So you're just going to have to endure the first few minutes of the Warzone where I get kind of destroyed repeatedly. I remember about phase walk there, until we get into the good stuff. So just a brief word on my utilities. I can't remember exactly which ones I have, but I'll put them in the description. But the legendary utility I've taken is the one that allows you to move whilst using turbulence. Usually the one I take is Life Ward, which is the one that gives you heals when you have your force armor on you, and then gives you a massive heal after you come out of your god bubble. Again, can't remember ability names. I'll carry on talking about it in a second, but I thought I'd go for mid. I hadn't spotted the sniper there. Once he started attacking me, I thought I'd do some damage to him. He then hid behind the pillar, so I thought, well, I might as well just try capping again. He then makes the classic mistake of trying to interrupt a cap with AoE damage instead of direct damage, which is never a good idea unless it's like the final resort, because AoE damage has a pretty big chance to miss, especially when your target's directly behind an object, like a turret. Here I remember about phase walk, so I decided to place it down. I have too many characters on me, so I really need to kite as much as possible. So I decided just to use the phase walk straight away and try and give me some time to heal up. Luckily the Marauder was clever enough to walk back to where I placed down my phase walk, so I just ran away whilst casting turbulence, try and deal as much damage whilst creating as much distance between us as possible. We didn't have a healer unfortunately at this point, so what I should have been doing is running up on top of that platform to pick up the heal. I kind of took too long about doing it, and was chased by these 2 people. I push, then miss this Marauder. I nearly make it to the med pack, but he gets there slightly before me with his mad dash. You'll see in chat someone's typing "fight at the node please" at mid, stop fighting out in nowhere, and it's a good point. It's definitely something you should do. The reason I was running for the med pack is that we didn't have a healer, and if I carried on fighting at mid I would have died like 10-15 seconds earlier. But it is generally a good point, always fight near the node as much as possible, so that it's harder for the enemy team to take it. So our team is back at a much bigger size at this point, so we can kind of start contesting these fights and not getting completely destroyed. But back to what I was talking about earlier, because I'm playing Telekinetics I decided I needed that mobility, because the Telekinetics is a much more it's a spec where you cast abilities a lot more, so you have to stand still a lot more. So you need that extra mobility, but it does mean that I am kind of lacking in survivability compared to when I was playing balance. The reason I'm playing Telekinetics is that I really enjoy it as a spec. I do find it harder in PvP, just for the reasons I've already mentioned, because it's a more stationary spec, and it's easier to shut down because of casting. I finally managed to get up to the ledge where the big med pack was, but of course there wasn't a med pack for me to pick up, but it did give me some space to heal up. I was considering chasing that Juggernaut for a second just because he was on low health, but there was actually no point in it, because the node that we're trying to contest at the moment is mid, and he was running off to snow. This was a pretty poor use of phase walk, but the idea behind it was make him waste his leap after me, and then I could run back using my force sprint to pick up the mid pack. That was a great push by him though, and then he kind of teleports towards me. It was just a graphical glitch because of his bug, but he managed to leap through the med pack on the way, which meant I died. So I was pretty gutted at that point. So going back to what I was saying about the 2 specs, with Telekinetics being much more stationary, it's not just that, but also balance has more healing, or self-healing kind of baked into the kit with the healing you get off another ability name. I can't remember, I'll put it on the screen. It's the lifesteal ability, and also you get healing off the dots and stuff like that. So at this point I had quite a few people over at Snow, so I decided to try it mid again. Trying to kite this Juggernaut. Being helped out by the Gunslinger here with the root. Again, I haven't posted on my phase walk anywhere. And I should have gone for Turbulence over my Telekinetic burst at that point. But it was a 2 or 3v1 depending on how you look at it. I don't think the Vanguard was helping at this point. Oh, he was. It was the sniper that had died. So we easily managed to finish him off. Looks like someone from the other team disconnected there. Actually no, he just vanished. But anyway, a fight finally in our favour in terms of numbers at mid. I decided to cap thinking they'd be distracted with the fight, but the sorcerer there was aware of what was happening, and then a sniper comes up behind me. So it was a slight mistake there, using my Mind Crush without the proc you get from Telekinetic Gust, which makes it faster to cast. This point was being attacked by the sniper, so I just positioned myself behind the wall so that he couldn't target me, and just healed up a bit. He rolled after me, so then used my phase walk to teleport out, and again, heal up a bit. Usually you wouldn't have to do quite this much healing up, but we didn't have a healer, so, and I didn't really want to be fighting at half health. So the thing I mention every match is that you should generally target the healer first. The healer was kind of quite far back here, and I would have had to put myself out of position to target the healer. So I decided it was better to play it a bit safer, play back a bit, and attack their melee characters who are rushing towards us, and wait for a better opportunity to attack the healer. Some nice crits on the sniper there with the help of Force Potency. Always remember with this spec that Turbulence is an auto crit if you have Weaken Mind on your opponent, so make sure not to use your Turbulence with Force Potency because it will waste a charge. There's another case there of someone trying to interrupt a cap using AoE, and it missed me, which is nice, so we finally have 2 turrets and they have 1, and we're still in the game points-wise. I'm finally in range of the healer, so I can attack them. You need to be a bit careful at this point because we're quite far out from the turret, so I was checking behind me. Started to head over to Grass because I saw people going there, but we didn't need 4 people to do that, so I let the Sentinels on my team carry on going over there. 3v1 still a bit excessive, this is why I headed back to mid. I couldn't see any of the other team at this point, which is why I was kind of hanging around in the middle here. I wasn't sure whether I was needed at mid or grass, but just headed over to mid. It's safer to go to mid at this point because you can use the ramp to easily get over to grass. So I right-clicked my phase walk there to get rid of it without using the cooldown, and then replaced it in that corner there. It's generally a pretty good place to put your phase walk in this Warzone. So I was just checking over the wall to see how many people were attacking grass to see if I was needed. At this point it was like a 5v1, so I was staying at mid. Saw 2 more coming and assumed the rest of the team was going as well, but also it's because I saw their healer. Had a bit of difficulty picking up the red buff there, but once I finally got it, started attacking, switching my focus over to the healer as quickly as possible, and made quick work of her. Saw someone spamming in chat 3 times that help was needed at mid. It wasn't actually the person guarding mid, I don't think, so the help they needed wasn't really that urgent, so I didn't really need to waste my phase walk there, but it's a decent thing to know that you can phase walk over that wall if you place your phase walk at mid. It's quite nice. It's much quicker than having to walk the long way around. Sentinel there was pretty out of position, but managed to stealth away. We had another center win there. Again, managed to stealth away. So I wanted to go on the healer here, but again, the healer was a bit too far back. I would have had to place myself out of position to attack her. Much better to fall back and try and lose the attention of the Marauders and Juggernauts on the other team. Wait for the healer to push up a bit before going on her. Now would have been a pretty good opportunity. I tried to target her there but didn't manage it, so just placed down some AoE damage while I tried to readjust my targeting. I was able to get back on the healer hit. I felt able to push up this far because we had these two other characters here who I thought could kill for me. Making sure to interrupt the guy capping. I noticed that I had my phase walk back up and went to go and place it in this spot again. So compared to the beginning of the game, I was using my phase walk a lot better. I was using it at all, which is always a start. Because we didn't have a healer, I probably could have done with throwing out a few more bubbles for my team and some heals here and there. But it's such a bursty spec that it always is hard to convince yourself to heal rather than throwing out these big numbers. At this point in the game though, we were starting to kind of gain control. The fights at mid were going in our favour every single time, so we had numbers advantage, which made the fights even easier. Points were kind of equal at this point, and we had 2 turrets, so definitely on course to win here. It's often that enemy teams at this point fall into the trap of trying to attack a node as aggressively as possible and kind of funnel in one by one to die. But this team did a fairly decent job of waiting until they were grouped up before attacking. Probably could have pushed up a bit here, maybe gone up on one of the ramps to try and target the healer more easily. But eventually got in range of the healer. The other team playing fairly desperately here. That was a kind of crazy attempt from the sniper. There's no need to use my breaker here. We had plenty of people to interrupt the capped, and I knew he wouldn't cap before I got out of the mess. And another easy fight for us in terms of numbers. Throwing out some heals for the Vanguard. And there you go, at the end of the game. So I thought this one was pretty satisfying. I definitely enjoyed it at the time after the frustrating start of getting attacked over and over again and just dying. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below the video. I'll reply to as many of those as possible. If you have any suggestions on what class you want to see, then let me know. Can't guarantee I'll play them, but it's always useful to know what people are wanting to see. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching.